Manufacturing is what's going to bring you long-term, steady-paying jobs. And I've been a believer of that since I was a young man, and I believe now. We have a lot of great things in this region. We have great engineering companies that can do almost anything that you ask them to do. We have extremely good people, hardworking people that's going to work here in this region, in this parish. We just as leaders have to look to do something a little bit different if you want a different outcome. Because it could have been really easy for me to come here as parish president 10 years ago and just continue cleaning ditches and continue cutting grass. But is that going to do anything for the quality of life of the people that we have here that's left behind? So it's about trying to look at the whole 70,000 people that you have here and try to put something in place where everybody can benefit from it. And that's what I want to do. And hopefully at the end of the day, when I'm long gone, someone can say, you know what, I think Larry did a fairly decent job at trying to look at diversifying things in Iberia Parish, and we're going to continue it from that and move on.
You're listening to Fueled, a Finstamaker podcast, and I'm your host, Catherine Finstamaker.
Today on Fueled, I'm speaking with Larry Richard, the Iberia Parish president whose career has been defined by thoughtful leadership, collaborative strength, and a deep dedication to both community and country. Serving as parish president since 2016, following 12 impactful years on the parish council, Larry's background is remarkably diverse, spanning military service, a dynamic career in oil and gas industry, entrepreneurship, and active regional economic development. Under Larry's leadership, Iberia Parish has advanced infrastructure initiatives like the Acadiana Regional Airport Access Road, ambitious drainage improvements, and a suite of roadway enhancements designed to foster economic vitality. His administration has successfully attracted some of the most significant investments in parish history, including the landmark $1.1 billion First Solar manufacturing facility, signaling an important shift toward a more diversified, resilient economy. Today, we'll explore what drives Larry Richard as a leader navigating the complexities of infrastructure strategy and as a man whose motivation, vision, and values are shaping the future of Iberia Parish. It's nice to be with you today.
Nice to be with you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So today's interview is structured around our season title, Leading Louisiana, Concrete and Character. Okay. So we'll dive into some of the infrastructure projects that you've spearheaded and you have underway, and then also talk about the character, the man who you are, the leader that you are.
Okay.
Part one is concrete, building infrastructure and economic vitality. Iberia Parish has recently completed transformative projects like the Acadiana Regional Airport Access Road, which is already demonstrating its potential to drive economic growth. Can you walk us through how this project came together and what it signifies for the economic future of the parish?
The area where the access road is, we have a major project taking place there, and that's the First Solar project. That's the $1.1 billion project that you mentioned earlier. We have to be able to get the people to be able to go into the airport or go into that facility without accidents, the least amount of accident as possible. So what we ended up doing is we ended up going to the state and spoke with the governor, I guess maybe 3 years ago, and he ended up giving us some cash dollars. And we decided to do the work on the 3212, the Acadiana, what you call the Acadiana Access Road. It's actually Highway 3212, but we renamed that particular highway to Corporate Drive. Corporate Drive is actually the road or the entrance where you're going to be going into First Solar. And I can go deep into it because there's a lot of other things that's involved with that access road. The access road, again, is simply to make it easier and safer for people or trucks, because we're going to have 100 plus trucks a day going into the First Solar facility alone. And we wanted to make it as safe as possible by having turning lanes and middle lanes and those types of things. But another thing that we're doing in that particular area, and you're probably going to get to it later, is coming up with roundabouts and coming up with different roads like Hangar Drive and those types of things. The Acadiana Regional Airport area is a major growth area in Iberia Parish. We have several companies that's looking to come there and to invest hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is a big deal for Iberia Parish.
So whenever people think about investment and they think about the first solar project, it's very exciting for the parish. I wonder if you could talk about kind of the importance of the elements that surround that investment, like the infrastructure that's needed to support it, and whether that comes first, during, or after, and
Actually,
if that's a challenge.
it is a challenge. Actually, when the first solar project came to Iberia Parish, there was a lot of things we didn't have there. And that particular company invested a lot of their dollars to bring things there, such as water, the amount of water that we need for their sprinkling system. The facility is 2.4 million square feet. That's just for the office and the manufacturing facility. That's like 9 times the size of the Superdome. So we're talking a very, very big structure. So what had to happen is a water plant needed to be built. The amount of gas that they needed, natural gas that they needed to handle that particular facility, they needed a 6-inch gas line. We only had a 2-inch gas line going to the base. They came up with funding and ran that particular gas line to that facility. So it's a lot of things as far as infrastructure that we did not have. So a lot of the infrastructure that's being built now is being built on behalf of First Solar and the investment they're putting in there. First Solar is going to hire anywhere between 715 employees to 1,000. The average salary there is going to be around $80,000 a year, average salary. So it's a big investment in Iberia Parish. Iberia Parish have always been known for oil and gas and agriculture, which they will always be known for oil and gas and agriculture. However, we are diversifying, and the manufacturing facility or the manufacturing plant there is one way to indicate that that's happening in Iberia Parish. And you have to build the infrastructure if you want the people to come. And when I'm saying infrastructure, I'm not only talking about roads. I'm talking about fiber. I'm talking about natural gas. I'm talking about sewer. I'm talking about water. It's a lot that goes on when you're trying to plan and build these things to draw businesses.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. It's a lot to plan for, and some of these things takes a long time. Like right now, we're in the process of trying to get a $60 million sewer plant. So we've have already gotten with our congressional delegation, our state delegation. Senator Kennedy actually put some money in a bill for us in D.C. We have some funds that's coming in from Governor Landry. We're working with our congressional and state delegation to make this happen.
Iberia Parish is actively pursuing significant roadway improvements and traffic projects as well, including roundabouts like the LA 88 roundabout near ARA, the LA 675 roundabout at the ARA access roadway, and extensions such as Hangar Drive, as you mentioned, and improvements along LA Highway 3212. These projects are designed not just to improve traffic flow, but also to stimulate economic growth by creating direct connections to major facilities and encouraging new business investments. Could you speak to the urgency and the strategic importance of these specific projects?
Well, I can tell you the Highway 88 project is one that started probably in 2016. I got elected in 15, took office in 16, and I guess it was a couple of months after I was here as the parish president myself, and also Mike Tarantino with Iberia Economic Development, or IDF as we say, and also the airport director at that time, Jason DeVilliers. We went up to Memphis and met with FedEx. And we were trying to find out what was needed to try to get companies like FedEx to come to Iberia Parish, because we had heard a lot of things in the past, or I had heard a lot of things in the past with FedEx, and I wanted to understand why Iberia Parish didn't receive that particular FedEx in Iberia Parish. Well, come to find out, we wasn't even close to receiving things because they travel and pick locations based on something called stem time, how long it takes to get from their facility to wherever, from one point to the other. And we were off by several minutes. So when we came back, we found out that when they did the trip from the airport in Lafayette to Iberia Parish, coming down Highway 90, when they got to 88, it wasn't a roundabout. So it took a lot of time to get there. And so we met with our delegation and told them that we think we need a roundabout at 88. Took years, but it happened. And that particular roundabout, as you can see, is making a huge difference in Iberia Parish. We have subdivisions coming up in that particular area now, just open things up for us to start to build or get companies to come here that want to build. So off of 88 now, we have 2 subdivisions. One's almost completed or is in its second phase. Another one is in its first phase. And we're just moving along well. And people can actually come to Iberia Parish right now without, when I'm saying people, I mean companies, can come to Iberia Parish right now with those piggyback trucks, and it's not taking so long to get to that industrial area, which is at the Acadiana Regional Airport.
It's an interesting calculation they run.
Yes, it is. Every minute is like $50,000 for them.
Wow.
So I think we was off by some 6 minutes by not having that roundabout. So it's a big deal, very, very big deal.
You talked about residential growth as well as bringing businesses to the parish. Which excites you more?
Both. I want to try to keep the people that we have in Iberia Parish here. I want to bring more businesses here. I want to retain the businesses that we have here. Both of them excite me. I don't want to bring business into Iberia Parish when we have nowhere for people to live. So it's a balance. When I first became the parish president, I was trying to get companies here or developers here to develop. It wasn't easy because it wasn't the amount of work. They felt that they wasn't going to get people here because it wasn't the amount of work. Then I started trying to get businesses here, and there were no houses. So you gotta just jump in there and do one. So we're very fortunate that First Solar ended up taking it and came here. And First Solar is bringing a lot of additional companies to do work in Iberia Parish. And they're trying to build in Iberia Parish just to support that particular company. But First Solar isn't the only company that we have that's doing big work in Iberia Parish. We have Delta Biofuel. We have pharmaceutical stuff that we have coming in the future. There's a lot that's going on in the parish, and there's a lot of forward thinking. You can think about one project and just work that project and stop, or you can think about a project and work that project and look for the next project and the next project and what you think should be happening in the next 5 years and 10 years. And that's what I did. So when you hear me talk about things like a sewer facility that we just mentioned, we don't need a sewer facility today, but we will need one in 5-6 years from now. And if we wait 5 or 6 years from now, we're going to miss the boat.
Sometimes it makes me think about playing tennis, and they say, you hit a great shot and you can't even necessarily sit back and watch it land and appreciate the shot that you made. You have to get ready for the next shot.
You have to. And in this business, in the government that we have, in my mind, I look at government as a business. I really do. And in doing that, sometimes you make some people happy and sometimes people are not happy. But at the end of the day, it's about quality of life for the people that I represent. So I'm trying to give them opportunities. I'm trying to build the infrastructure to get more businesses here, to keep the businesses that we have here. And no doubt, it makes some people upset because they're not used to seeing what's happening. But at the end of the day, I think for their kids and the benefit of their kids finishing high school and college and staying with their parents, I think is going to benefit everyone.
There's something about trying and doing.
Exactly.
And I think, crossing that line from trying to doing, you've done.
Yes, and again, it makes some people happy and it makes some people not so happy.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
With multiple large-scale projects underway, spanning transportation, drainage, water, and sewer infrastructure, how do you approach prioritizing initiatives, ensuring that you're balancing immediate needs, long-term economic opportunities, and community impact? And you've touched on this, but maybe there's something more you'd like to add.
I have an unbelievable team, administrative team. I have a very good council, some very active council members that we work extremely close together when we're discussing this. It's hard to say I'm going to balance roads in front of coastal protection because I have to get them both done at the same time. So it's a deal where I get people to come in. When I'm saying people, I mean some of my council members to help me do certain things. My staff, we get different projects that I put them in charge of to make sure we can keep moving. We have weekly meetings on every project that we do. For example, coastal protection in Iberia Parish is critical. We're doing what's called flood control structures right now. It's flood control structures that we're putting at certain channels that we have that keep the water that's coming in on a high tide from causing certain people to flood on a beautiful sunny day. The only problem is if you have south wind that's coming in around 12, 13, 14 miles an hour, the water comes in, because we're coastal and it floods some of these people areas. So what we're doing is we putting flood control structures, and it's basically almost work like a check valve per se. You have a channel and you put a flood control structure. When the water is trying to come in, it's a flapper that basically stop the water from coming in with the high tide. So when the tide go out, depends on how much water you had in that channel, the water goes out, and the water that you actually have in the channel drops. Very simple. If you have a channel that's 10 feet high and your tides are coming in, and that channel is basically staying around 5 feet of water in it all the time. Basically what's happening is when you put this flood control structure in, when that water that would be coming in to raise that elevation from 5 foot to 7 foot or 8 feet, it don't let it come in. So the water's still at 5. But when the tide go down, and if the tide go down a little bit lower, the water that's at 5 feet go down to 4 feet. And when the water come back in on a high tide that's coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, it can't come back in. So it's still at 4 feet. So if the water go out on a low tide and it drops down, you get the map of what I'm doing. So basically what happens with that is when you have a rainfall, you have more capacity inside that channel than if you had a 10-foot channel and it was at 7 feet, you only have 3 feet. But if you can drop it down to 4 feet, 3 feet, whatever the case, you have more capacity to fill that particular channel with water before it crests and started going, displacing itself everywhere.
In your role, you're probably learning constantly, looking at all of these projects, even speaking in specifics about this flood control structure. What has been exciting about that learning of these engineering intricacies for you?
I think some people don't realize when a person get elected, they're no smarter the day after they got elected than the day before they got elected. So when someone get elected, I think a lot of people just think that that person have all of the answers, and that is really not the truth. It's not the case at all. It's no different than any business you ever work for, any company you work for yourself. You have to learn. I can tell you what, right now, I know a lot more about flooding and about hydraulics than I knew, 10, 15 years ago. But it is not only work like that with hydraulics or flooding, it's work in anything. People are coming there to talk to you about environmental issues. You have to learn, you have to research, you have to do a lot of work to put yourself on a even playing field where you can actually talk to people about something. Just because you're the parish president and someone want to talk about some environmental issues, it doesn't mean that you have the answers to it. You have to educate yourself on what's going on. You have to find the brightest people that know what's happening, learn from them, but you also have to learn yourself. It's all about academia. A lot of people have college degrees or whatever the case is, but academia is a real way of getting things done. You have to learn for yourself.
I've been busy raising my 2-year-old, and there's a song that I've been listening to recently with him by the Okie Dokie Brothers. And then a line in the song that I really like, he said, teach humble and learn proud.
Exactly.
And it's so true.
It is.
We have to. So drainage infrastructure, clearly a priority under your leadership. From the Bayou, Park Purdue, HMGP drainage project to studies in the Coteau area and Teche Bayou. How have those projects influenced your broader approach to building community resilience?
Well, every one of those projects, as you just mentioned, they're so unique. For example, if you're talking the Park Purdue project that you mentioned first, I happen to serve as the chairman for the Acadiana Planning Commission. So we received some $25 million several years back, and one of the projects that we started was the Upper Park Purdue. That's actually coming from Youngsville into Iberia Parish, and the Lower Park Purdue, which was to be cleaned out and come up with different ponds, detention ponds, to try to get that water to go into the Lake Premier. That's a project that we've been waiting on to get done for quite some time. Had a lot of holdups. Of course, some of them we can't do anything about because you're dealing with monies that's not yours. It's coming, in some case, from the state government, really from the federal government to the state government, but you're dealing with the federal government rules and state government rules. So some of the things takes a lot of time to get done. But Park Purdue is going to be a huge benefit for the people that live in the Coteau area. Once we get that project done, and hopefully we have everything squared away before October of this year, because if not, some of that money is going to be moved away. So we're trying to get all of that done now. In fact, we have fence to maker working that project with us right now, and it's a big deal for us. It's a huge deal. When you're talking about the Cotil area, it's a totally different project. One is on one side of Highway 90, and the other one is on the opposite side of Highway 90. The Cotil project that we're looking for is simply because I have developers that's wanting to build homes, more homes in the Cotil area. Around the Captain Cade. I'm concerned about that because we have so much flooding that's going on in Cotil currently. We need to find out why we're flooding before we start to build more homes. So this is a project that the Parish Council have given me some money to get some engineering done. And if I'm not mistaken, that I should be signing that this afternoon. The Parish Council already awarded me or passed a resolution. I signed a resolution. I had to get a few things done with the engineering company before I actually sign it because I want to make sure things are going to be done the right way. And this afternoon, I should be signing that particular contract.
How does it feel to be tethered in so many ways by so many different encumbrances? Like, you have to get your council's approval, you have to follow the bureaucratic trail of chasing the money and finding the sources and things like that. You can't just fly direct.
No. And before I answer that question, I want to go back to the other one you had mentioned, Bayou. Bayou is a huge area that need to be cleaned. The Bayou that we actually have in Iberia Parish starts really in the city of Iberia, and it goes all the way to Lake Dotree. It's going all the way to the locks in St. Mary Parish. It's a huge project that needs to be done. In the past, we have addressed it by trying to clean trees on the side of Bayou and do a little bit of silt remover, that type of stuff. Right now, we're working with CPRA, coastal protection, and we're talking a huge project. So we're talking in the tens of millions of dollars. So this is a project that Iberia Parish will hopefully get, but the funds are going to come from the state, from coastal protection, to actually get it done. And if we can't get that project done correctly, we're going to fight this for many decades to come. It's much more than going and remove a silt, a little pile of dirt that actually accumulated, and it's going to continue to accumulate simply because of the way Iberia Parish sits. We have a lot of farming in Iberia Parish. A lot of dirt that come from the farming goes into your channel, so you can always have silt.
You're tethered by a lot of things. You can't just fly. Like, you're chained by having to get approval from your council. You have to, follow the bureaucratic trail to chase the money. You have to shake the right hands and make sure that you have the right relationships in place so that you can secure funding. You have to jump through so many hoops to get to a yes.
You're
and
correct.
What's that like whenever you finally break through?
It could become very challenging. I got elected in 1999. I took office in 2000, so I've been doing this for a while. But one thing I've learned over the years, you want to communicate with people. The best place to start is learning to communicate with your council. I have 14 council members. So I try to have as many council members involved in what I'm doing. It's not easy to do. But I've learned how to do it. And we've gotten Iberia Parish in a position to where we get along, and it seemed like we're all working toward the same goal. However, it goes to another deal. You mentioned you got to go to the state. So you're working through your legislature. Basically, what I try to do when I'm dealing with state stuff is I'll talk to my state delegation, and tell them what we're looking at and tell them what our priorities are. Now, sometimes the priorities of the parish may not be a priority for the state legislature or legislator, and that creates an issue. So you try to work through all of that, and sometimes it's not easy. But I have a relationship with my delegation, both state, especially federal. I have a very good relationship with my federal delegation, and I have a good relationship with my state delegation as well. But if you don't, I can see where a lot could become a problem really, really quick. It's a lot of communications. When you're dealing with people that's elected, everyone is trying to get something to bring back for where it's a win for them. If you're a state representative or a state senator, you want to do something that you can say that you did. If you're a parish councilman, you want to do something where you can say, I did this. And if you're a parish president, whatever it is that you want to do, you basically have to go to them to get it done.
Right.
So you got to put But I've learned how to try to get things done and ask a parish councilman to take this for me. I'm looking to try to get a road done, or I'm looking to try to get X, Y, Z done. So I'll just talk to a group of parish councilmen, and we'll figure it out. Then they'll try to take it and do a little work on it, do the research and take it on underneath them, and they go out and that's their project. I'm simply here trying to be the administrator. A lot of people don't realize in Iberia Parish we have a legislative branch of government, and that particular branch is the branch they're going to pass all the resolutions, they're going to pass all the ordinances, and me as the parish president and my team, I have to be the administrator. A lot of people don't realize, they just think because your title is the parish president, you can just do any and everything. It don't work like that. I can't pick people to boards. I can't remove a person from a board. You can put anybody you want on a board as a council. I can't veto that. A lot of people don't understand how it really works. They just dream up in their mind what the responsibility is, or what the, what a president can do and what a council member can do, and without actually reading the charter. I have to read the charter because I don't want to get in trouble. So a lot of things that I hear people say sometimes, I'm just like, man, I sure wish they would take a little bit of time and read this charter, and they can find out what their government is all about.
You really have to play the hand you're dealt.
You really have to.
Seems like you're doing a good job at it.
I'm working it. It's something that I've been working for many years. It's not something that I had to start doing when I became a councilman or a parish president. I did it through corporate America. I did it through my companies. So you have to learn what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You can't be the person that's, I'm going to do it this way all the time, and this is the way it's going to be. It don't work like that in a private business. When I own the traffic control company and the construction materials company, and I'm actually going to people to try to get work, I have to do things, try to negotiate things to get that work. No different in government. I happen to be the parish president, but if I want a new road, or if I want to get a post evacuation center, I have to go to my delegation. I have to sell it to them. And if they decide that they don't want it, they're going to remove. I mean, that's a good example. We had a post evacuation center that we were getting in Iberia Parish, received $1 million cash from the previous governor, started doing all of the work with $8 million to follow the next year. And it wasn't a priority for my delegation. So it was removed, and that project is gone. But you can't dwell. You can't just cry about it. You have to move to the next project. And I've learned how to do that, and I'll do it. I think I do it well. At the end of the day, I have a responsibility. The council have a responsibility. These representatives and senators have a responsibility, and that's the way we work it.
The people business.
This is the people's business. We, the people.
As a coastal parish, Iberia faces serious flooding challenges, as we've talked about. You've worked closely with CPRA and other agencies to secure critical funding. How do you navigate those relationships and keep Iberia Parish at the forefront of coastal priorities?
That's from the beginning, when I became the parish president, there was a millage that was trying to be passed, because at the time, I guess it was around 2015, 2016, they were trying to build a levee here for coastal protection. That particular millage failed. What I decided to do was learn as much about CPRA as I possibly could. And they have a master plan, a state plan that I decided to follow, even though we didn't have any dedicated funds for it. But over the years of following that plan, and they see that we're following their master plan, it became kind of easy, because now they're actually pumping money into Iberia Parish. If it was up to me, like the projects that we're currently doing, we don't have the funds to do those projects. Those are direct funds that's coming into Iberia Parish that CPRA is actually funding. We get dollars from Go Mesa, which comes in every year. And when we started the first 2 or 3 projects, we used those dollars for engineering. And then CPRA put up the actual cost to build these $1 million structures. Now CPRA is just putting in all the money. And we just working with them and making sure that they realize that we're following their master plan, and it works well. But you have to understand that you have some negotiation and you're going to have some challenges along the way, but you can work through challenges. It's just a challenge. It's no different than when I was in boot camp and I didn't feel like sleeping in a tent by myself because I knew there were snakes. I got to overcome that. You have to learn to overcome and work through the challenges.
I read recently that one of the determining factors for resilience is having a mindset of a challenge orientation, which is exactly what you described. You approach a problem, consider it a challenge, something that you're suited to face. You're suited to face.
That's right. You're exactly correct. I don't even need to elaborate on that one. You did well.
Thank you. The proposal to create an independent airport district has sparked some debate. How do you navigate the political complexities of a project like this, especially when public opinion is divided?
Public opinion is always divided. I tell it to people a lot. We have a council meeting, and I was a councilman. You can have 50 people in an audience at the chamber, and you have 25 people want this, and 25 people want that. And all 50 of those are in that chamber. But you're only going to really hear from 25 that want something a little bit different. You're not going to hear from all 50. So when you're looking to do something, or whatever it is that you're working on, you have to work on something that's going to benefit the people that elected you. You don't do something for a personal reason. You do it for whatever is going to benefit the community, and that's how I see it. It's I don't do anything to that's based on me. It's all about the people that I represent. I have 70,000 people here that I represent, and I talk to a lot of them. Believe me, I have a huge team, a huge group of people that I'm constantly talking to, and they'll tell me what it is that they think. As far as House Bill 613, the Parish Council had major problems with that particular bill, if you remember, and they voted against it. In fact, I went to the state and I testified on behalf of the Parish Council because that's my job. Like I said earlier, we have a legislative branch and we have an administrative branch. And when my council is going to say that they don't want this, or they want this, I'm going to go and I'm going to back them up. And that's what we did. And we were able to put some amendments in that bill that actually it worked itself out. You just have to communicate with people. Some things start off really, really tough, and you communicate and you work things out. We work things out. At the end of the day, the parish council charter tells them that they can have an independent, in this case, airport if they want to, and or airport district if they want to, and it started off like that and it ended like that. So at the end of the day, we back to square one. Um, the council is in charge of the airport. That's their airport. They pick the people that's on the commissions. They decide that they want to create a district. They create a district. If they decide that they don't want to create a district, they don't create a district. But that's totally up to the parish council. And I think we have a great council. And I think great things are coming into that airport. So you really need to pay attention to what it is that you're doing, because it's going to get to be a big, big area. I can see in the next 5 or 10 years, that airport is going to be huge. Not only the airport, the things that's taking place in Iberia Parish. The next 5 or 10 years, Iberia Parish will not look like it look right now, because we are diversifying. And we have been oil and gas and agriculture, like I mentioned, forever, and we will always be. But when you start to bring different industry groups in, you're going to see a tremendous change in Iberia Parish, in this region, in years to come.
You've worked extensively to secure funding through capital outlay, federal grants, DOTD road shows, and more. What's your approach when advocating across so many levels, and what have those experiences taught you about persistence and partnership?
I think when you're talking to all what you just mentioned, you're just being honest to the people that you're talking to. Whether when you go on to a DOTD road show and you're telling them that you need this particular road in the parish and why you need this particular road, you just need to be very honest. Say what it is that you need, and try to explain it. Because again, I mentioned earlier, just because you're an elected official don't mean that you know everything about everything. So a lot of times when you go on to a DOTD road show, you have senators and state representatives from all around the state of Louisiana, and you're asking them to allocate some money for a particular project that they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So you need to try to educate them on what it is that you need, why you need it. I can remember I went to the legislative committee trying to get I don't know, it was 13 or $16 million to build Hangar Drive and a roundabout. And to this particular committee, and I was told before I went that you're never going to get this money because it's only been done once. Well, when I got to that committee and started explaining to them what was going on, I needed a road, and this happened to be a road, Hangar Drive, next to First Solar. You got $1.1 billion invested. I need $16 million, which is not a lot of money. But to make this work, I need $16 million. And when I walked out from testifying 40 minutes later, we had the $16 million. So you have to educate the people on what's going on. You have to be consistent, and you have to tell them the economic impact is going to have, what it is that you're trying. Just be honest. Tell them the truth. Tell them what's going on, and tell them what you're trying to achieve in the long term. In this particular case, they seen what I was doing, and everything worked out great. We ended up with $16 million cash. We already started the actually we finished the access project, the access road project. Now we doing the hangar drive, and we're getting ready to start the roundabout. So we're gonna be in good shape.
Do you consider yourself courageous?
I consider myself to be an aggressive business person. I'm one that's going to try to find a way to make things work. I'm not one to just back down because a person or someone don't agree. I'm not going to argue with you, but we're going to try to work it out. And because especially if I'm requesting something as a parish president, I'm not requesting it because is a pie in the sky. I'm requesting it because it's something that I see from what I've been working for years that's going to complete something. So I don't know about courageous, but I know I'm one that's going to be pretty well aggressive. If I'm looking to do something, I will never curse you out. I will never fuss with you, but I will argue my case.
I like that. I need a drop of that. I need a drop of that in my own recipe. You've worked with our team at Finstamaker on a range of projects. In your view, what makes a partnership successful, especially when coordinating across agencies, engineers, and community voices?
I really believe what make a partnership effective is when everyone listens. Your team, for example, Dax. I'm going to just go with Dax because he is my go-to person with Finstamaker. Dax and I disagree on a whole bunch of stuff, a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for something from every engineering company that I'm working with. I want success. I want things to be done correctly. I told you earlier, as the parish president, I don't know everything about everything. I have to educate myself. And the one thing that I have with Finstamaker is that type of partnership, where when I'm going to say, I want this done, I want it done in 30 days, maybe that's not you can't accomplish that. And I'll tell Dax, I need this done in 30 days. And if we can't get it done in 30 days, whatever. And he said, Larry, I'm telling you, I can get this much done in 30 days, but I can't do it. It's going to take me 45 days or whatever it's going to take. And we'll go through it, and we'll go line item by line item. And if he sells his case that it's going to take 45 days, I'll go 45 days. But I think communications with any company that you work with, because it's a partnership, remember. Because when you start something and you're saying you're going to start it on this particular date and you're going to end it on this day, I'm going to start going around to people and telling them that. So if it's something that I'm asking you to do in 30 days and it takes 45 days, well, once we finish and I agree with what you're saying, then I can start telling people this project is going to take this amount of time or whatever the case is. But I think it's have a lot to do with communications. You have to be honest. The engineering company have to be extremely honest. Because a lot of times when you're getting into projects, like we talked about the Park Purdue project, we talk a little bit about the 88 roundabout. We talked about the roundabout at 3212. These are things this is information that I have to be able to talk to my constituents and tell them what it is that we're doing. Is going to start on this particular day, is going to end on at this particular time, and we need to be accurate. So communications in whatever partnership you have is, in my opinion, one of the key things you have to have.
I'd heard some stories from management about, especially in the proposal process of different projects and looking at timelines and bidding and looking at cost and things. And I don't know if it's so much in the civil engineering space, but maybe on other projects like a pipeline project, and a company might come in and bid low,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing that they were going to have a ton of change orders. And it seems like Fence2Maker has always stood on the side of being honest, bidding straightforward, bidding right. And sometimes that's cost us work. But I think it earns in the long run a trust and a reputation for doing the right thing and being honest.
Yeah, I can tell you, since I've been the parish president, the projects that was awarded to different companies, Fence2Maker, we really don't come back with a lot of major change orders. You might start a project and something's going on and they didn't know this was there, or whatever the case is, and no one knew. And it's a change order, and you have to address that. But I don't really have a whole lot of change orders when it comes to Fence2Maker, and I really haven't had a lot of change orders with any of my companies that we work with, because we have pre-bids, and we get the companies out there, and that's when it's time for them to really take a look at what it is that they're doing. I will not be that person where you're going to bid low and you're getting ready to make all these change orders, and we're going to end up paying more than what we would have gotten with the highest bidder. That's not going to happen with me. And we try to address our contracts in that manner, to where you know what it is that we're requesting, you know what it is that you're bidding on, and once you bid on it, that's the job.
Moving into part 2 of our interview here, character.
Okay.
So these should be great softballs for you. Just talking about yourself.
Okay.
Shaping leadership through experience. So your background spans years of military service, a long career in oil and gas, entrepreneurship, and now public office. How have these diverse experiences influenced your philosophy as a leader?
I think the one of the biggest things that I carried my whole career is what I've learned in the military. The military is the biggest organization that we have in the world, and it's so structured. I mean, extremely structured. I was fortunate enough to leave from that structure, being in the military. I'm 101st Airborne Division. I'm proud of that, Army. And going into corporate America, where it's also structured. In corporate America, you have a lot going on. People get big jobs. But really and truthfully, when you get in these big jobs, you're only looking at one segment of what's happening in a corporation. So you can be the president of purchasing, but you're not looking at what's going on in engineering, or you're not looking at what's going on in geology, or whatever the case is. But it's very structured. And the one thing I take from both of those is standard operating procedures, how things are supposed to work. When I started my company, that's one of the first things I did. I wanted to make sure we had standard operating procedures. So when someone is no longer with you, the next person that walks in can at least have some kind of foundation or an understanding a little bit about what it is that they should be doing. When I became the parish president, I quickly learned that we really didn't have that. Standard operating procedures. We have a lot of people that work in the parish, and they have done a great job. However, when it's time to start promoting and getting someone to go, because I believe in promoting from within. So when it's time to get someone from one job to another job, you really didn't have that SOP. So one thing that I have requested and we're doing is we forming up SOPs, and have been doing it for quite some time. So when one person is going to leave from being a technician in accounting, and going to become a senior tech, there are some standard operating procedures that they know that they have to do to do that job. So with me, I think that everything I've learned from the military, from corporate, from my own business, have definitely helped me manage this business and government that we have. My understanding, like I said earlier, it is a government. So a lot of things that you can't do in government that you do in business. But there are a lot of ways that you can manage government like you do in business. If you try to take the politics out, a lot of people these days have come to where they feel they can bring politics into your administration simply by doing things like going on Facebook. Write this and write that. People believe that they can create things to make it easier. But if you're consistent with what you're doing and you have a structure and you just go with that particular structure, things have a way of working itself out. One of the things I said when I was running for parish president, it's about the people, not politics. I seen someone not long ago put something and use my term as about people, not politics. And it was exactly right. So no matter how much you put on Facebook about what you want, it's about the people. It's not about the politics or how much politics you try to bring into it. We're going to be very consistent in what we're doing in my administration till I'm no longer the parish president. But to answer your question, the things that I've learned in the military, in corporate America, my own businesses have definitely helped me manage Iberia Parish government.
You often say, be the change you want to see. Was there a particular experience or perhaps a series of moments that led you to adopt this personal mantra?
I think that goes back to early on in my in corporate America. I started that one because a lot of people have a lot of things that they want. They want to change this, they want to do that, but they want to continue doing what they do. And if you want something to change, be that particular change that you want it to be. That's just something I've been saying literally for decades, and I believe it. I believe that if a person is, earlier we were talking about politics. You don't like this, you don't like that, but then when you want something, you want to bring politics into it. So you have to be the change that you want to see. You have to be consistent in what it is that in what it is that you're doing. And I've been trying to be consistent all of my life.
See that also in partnerships a lot of time when someone might want their partner to be a different thing or have a different characteristic or trait, and they really have to lead from their own experience, I find.
I think in partnerships, I can define it like this. If you have a partnership with someone and you call it a partnership, you need to make sure that your partner have input with what it is that you're doing. You don't have a partnership when it's one-sided. A partnership is a partnership. It's like a marriage, so you can't have a marriage where one person is doing all of this and the next person is not doing anything or just a little bit. If it's a partnership, when this particular subject matter come up, your partner may have more experience in this here. Lean on them a little bit. When this particular subject come up, you may have more experience on that. Your partner should lean on you a little bit. You try to make it, you have to be balanced in whatever it is. A partnership is exactly that, a partnership.
Leadership in local government often requires a balance between business acumen and public accountability. How has your experience as a business owner and entrepreneur, and you already spoke to this, but maybe you have something to add. How has your experience as a business owner and entrepreneur influenced your approach to managing parish operations?
When you're managing parish operations, the one thing I try to do is listen to what the people are saying. Because at the end of the day, you're managing their business. When people elect you into a position, they're electing you, in my mind, to represent them. As a council member, when I was elected, I used to tell people all the time, a councilman is the mouthpiece for the people in that particular district. As a parish president, I don't look at it any different way. We have 14 councilmen, but I'm also the mouthpiece for the people in this parish. I was elected in my second term into this parish by more than 10,000 votes to the next person. And when I ran this past time, I was unopposed. So I'm elected by the people in the parish to try to represent them, not even to try to represent them. But you're not representing a group. You're representing the parish. And I think a lot of times people get that confused because at the end of the day, you're trying to do what's right for the parish. You're not trying to do what's right for the loudest person. The loudest person may be the majority of the people in the parish, and then you want to do what's right for them. But it's what's best for the parish, and that's what I try to do. I make decisions based on what my conscience informed me is the right thing to do, but I always have Iberia Parish in mind. We have a lot of things in this parish. I mean, we go all the way from, I have over 16,000 people in this parish living in poverty. You never hear of that. So I have to keep them in mind. We have a lot of people in this parish that's doing extremely well. I have to keep them in mind. We have some people in this parish that's just getting by. I have to keep them in mind. So when you're making decisions as the parish president, it's a lot more than what some people may think it is. It's not about just trying to do something for a person or a group. It's what you're trying to do for the benefit or the betterment of the people of this parish. And when you hear me talk about diversifying industry groups, that's exactly why I looked at doing that. Because if you look at the history of Iberia Parish, oil and gas and agriculture, we've done well. But we're right here. But if you're looking at trying to be inclusive and giving a better quality of life to all of the people that we have in this parish, you're going to have to diversify. And that's started. So the rest is history. So it's going to always be diversifying from this point forward, in my opinion. And you're going to look at a different parish in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. And it started here.
What a great North Star. What surprised you most about serving as parish president? Not just politically, but personally. Was there a moment that reshaped how you see leadership, especially in contrast to your time in private industry or the military?
I don't think I really had any surprises, to be frank with you. Nothing surprised me most. Trying to lead this parish. I think when you're running a business, you're really not going to have surprises. You're going to have opportunities. I may have a different, something presented itself in a different way to where some people may look at it, they were surprised. I'm going to sit back and look at it and analyze it, and that may take me a day or two longer than you to make a decision. But I look at things as, I look at opportunities, to be straight with you. And you just have to work through what some people would call these surprises and make it work for you. So surprises for me is more about opportunities, about bringing things, making things better, if you get what I'm saying. Don't look at something in a negative way when you first hear it, because I've been on panels where people come up with all kind of stuff. And I was on a panel once in Lafayette where some people was talking about obstacles and how do you handle this obstacle and how you handle that obstacle. It's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. You look at it and I don't refer to it as being an obstacle. I refer to it as being an opportunity. When I started my company, if that's the case, I had a lot of obstacles. But you work through that and you make those obstacles opportunities. Same thing I've done in the parish. I can list a whole bunch of things that people would call an obstacle. I don't dwell on it. The biggest obstacle I had in the parish, if you want to be honest about it, is sitting down next to my administrative assistant, because everything I talk to her about, which is Cindy Provost, she have different opinions. So we make that our area where we debate on what's going on. So that's my obstacle. My obstacle is sitting down listening to her tell me this and tell me that. And then I sit back and make a real decision on what's, that's a joke, of course, what I'm saying, but I don't have obstacles. I have opportunities.
I love your mindset. So good. Inspirational. You've described marrying your wife, Kim, as your proudest accomplishment.
By far.
Talk to me about how your family has kept you grounded throughout your journey in public service.
Marrying my wife, Kim, by far, have been the best thing that ever happened to me. I've been married for 42 years. I have an unbelievable wife. We have learned how to be in government. I'm the kind of person that leave home in the morning and go to the courthouse and do my work. And if I have other places to go when I leave the courthouse, I go and do that. But then I'm going home. I'm going home to my wife. My children are grown now, but I used to be going home to my wife and my children. And this government thing is out of it. I don't get into politics. I don't have elected officials come to my house. I've been doing this for since 2000. Probably 3 elected officials have come to my home in all of that time. I don't visit people at their home. It's a business that we're running, and that's what I tried to tell you. I try to keep the politics out of it. It's a beautiful thing when you can learn to separate the job that you have. It's political. It's a political job, but you don't bring that home. You understand? And the less communications in my mind, and I could be 100% wrong, because when I look at government today, it has changed drastically in the last 25 years, I can tell you that. But the less communication for me, when I leave my work environment, the less talking about politics, the better off it is for me. Because I'm not going to live and eat and breathe politics. I'm a registered independent. I have been my whole career. I've always run as an independent. I've been endorsed by the Republican Party locally. Um, I don't get into the politics as much as I can. I try not to get into the politics. That may sound strange, because once you become an elected official, people begin, in my opinion, people begin to start to feel they know you a little bit better than what maybe they do. So they're gonna paint a picture. You go on social media, or you look at the news, and it just amazes me how someone can talk so intimately about an elected official that they never met. What is coming from the president of the United States to a state senator to a state representative to a parish president is amazing to me, how people know so much in their mind about someone that they have never ever met. So I try to stay away from that. I stay with my wife, and this was a long answer to the question that you asked, but I stay with my wife and I stay with my family. And at the end of the day, it's all about putting God first. And if you can learn to put God first, everything else is going to fall into perspective.
A beautiful wife.
Beautiful.
A beautiful life.
A beautiful wife, a beautiful life. And I'm in my last term, so
I love that
as
for you.
parish president, yes, I do too.
Okay, part 3, legacy. Defining Iberia Parish's future. With the major infrastructure projects underway and future initiatives planned, how do you envision Iberia Parish's trajectory over the next decade? What key outcomes in terms of both infrastructure and quality of life are you aiming to achieve?
The big thing for Iberia Parish over the next 10 years is to try to get in place infrastructure. It's critical that we get infrastructure in place. And again, when I'm saying infrastructure, I'm not just talking about roads. I'm talking about fiber. I'm talking about natural gas. I'm talking about water. I'm talking about sewer. I'm talking about the whole package. If we can get, and we're already heading that way, to get the infrastructure that we need, for example, along Highway 90 and some spurs off of Highway 90 going all the way into Generate, Iberia Parish have a great future. I have a hard time understanding why we're so far behind when it comes to infrastructure along Highway 90, because it's only been there for 50 years. So the companies that we're looking at bringing here, some companies are large enough to where they can invest in infrastructure. But some companies that you want to get here can't add an additional, $1 million for sewer, $500,000 for water plants and those types of things. We have to build that. And we have to, once we build that, you're going to see that more and more companies are going to come here. The next 10 years of Iberia Parish, I'm telling you, in Iberia Parish in the next 5 years to 10 years, you're going to see a complete different parish. Because you have to keep in mind, my mindset as the parish president is going to be totally different than the next parish president mindset. When that next parish president come here, he or she may say, Larry did this with infrastructure over here, but I want to do this with infrastructure over here. The deal is, wherever I started, it's going to continue. So if that person decided that they want to start some wells, that's just another area of growth that you're going to have in Iberia Parish. That person may say, I understand that he tried to diversify, bring in manufacturing, bring in pharmaceutical, bring in whatever. That person may come and say, well, I want to take a look at bringing a car dealership here or car manufacturing area here. Or I want to take a look at doing additional things with boats or whatever, manufacturing. Manufacturing is what's going to bring you long-term, steady paying jobs. And I've been a believer of that since I was a young man. And I believe now we have a lot of great things in this region. We have great engineering companies that can do almost anything that you ask them to do. We have extremely good people, hardworking people that's going to work here in this region, in this parish. We just as leaders have to look to do something a little bit different if you want a different outcome. Because it could have been really easy for me, to come here as parish president 10 years ago and just continue cleaning ditches and continue cutting grass. But is that going to do anything for the quality of life of the people that we have here that's left behind? So it's about trying to look at the whole 70,000 people that you have here and try to put something in place where everybody can benefit from it. And that's what I want to do. And hopefully at the end of the day, uh, when I'm long gone, someone can say, you know what, I think Larry did a fairly decent job at trying to look at diversifying things in Iberia Parish, and we're going to continue it from that and move on.
You've worked hard to preserve Iberia Parish's unique cultural identity while aggressively pursuing economic growth. How do you protect and celebrate the parish's heritage while also embracing the kind of growth that ensures that future generations can thrive?
I think what you need to do is every business is not a good fit for Iberia Parish. So we need to look at that from the beginning. Just because a business may want to come here, it may not be the business that you need here in Iberia Parish. So you have to be smart when you're looking at doing things. We have an unbelievable culture. We certainly want to keep that. But at the same time, we don't have to not participate in something that could benefit us. At the same time, because we have this great culture, don't mean we need to leave this person out or that person out. We just need to make sure that what we're doing is going to keep the culture, but give more people an opportunity. For me, it's about quality of life. Again, I've probably said that 5 times already today, but it's about trying to give people an opportunity to have some impact in this area. We have a lot of smart people in this area. The problem with me is I see a lot of those smart people move away because some of them may not want to be in agriculture or oil and gas. We have to figure out how to keep some of those great minds here. And we have a lot of people go to public and Catholic school, private schools, and they graduate with these 4-point whatever GPAs, and none of them working here. So we have to figure out how we can do something or bring a particular type of industry here where we can utilize those types of people. And look, it's going to take years and years for that to happen. But I think we have started, and I've taken the heat for bringing the first big manufacturing facility here. So hopefully it can continue from that. And people are going to open up their minds to saying, I don't have to go to San Antonio for this particular deal. I don't have to go to Chicago for that. What's wrong with Iberia Parish? I mean, we have everything you need. You have rail, we have the highway, we have the port, we have everything you need here. We just need to have an open mind and try to understand everything that's going on before we make these decisions blind, negative decisions blind.
Speaking of culture, we're here at the Bayou Teche Museum today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what these gems in the community mean to you and mean for the spirit of Iberia?
I'll start off with this. My mother-in-law was the brown sugar of Iberia Parish, and I'm not exactly, I think it was called Queen Brown Sugar. I'm not exactly sure if she was the first, but she's somewhere in this building right here. Culture and history mean things. It means a lot. When you look around here, you see a lot of farming. I mean, that's the pictures we see everywhere. We see the sugar mills. We talk about the port of Iberia. That is the history of Iberia for all of these years. You know what I would like to see people talking about history later is when we started talking about bringing in different industries than agriculture, different industries than oil and gas at the port of Iberia. We have a lot of people here. We have a lot of land here where people can come and have a successful life and build nice homes and do all of these things. I just want to see it happen. I don't believe in not having a fair or not having fair opportunities for everyone. And I want to make sure that I'm going to do my part. Remember we talked about be the change you want to see? I want to see us have opportunities for people that are less fortunate. we can do something to try to help those people that are less fortunate. You don't have to, because us that think we're fortunate, we are less fortunate to the ones that's fortunate. And I'm gonna put this in perspective to you. For those of us who have a couple of $1 million, we think we're doing well, but we're dealing with people with $10 million who think you're less fortunate. And the person with $10 million are dealing with someone with $40 million who think they're less fortunate. It's all relative. So at the end of the day, my job is to try to work for all of the people in Iberia Parish and bring an opportunity for these people. I work with your company. You know why? Because you bid well. You're trying to help the community. And since you're trying to help the community and I'm trying to help the community, we can get more things done. You make a living. The parish have enough money to make you, but you don't have, the parish have enough money to pay you, but you don't have to make a career off of a job.
What advice would you give future leaders who want to make a difference in their communities but feel uncertain about where to begin? Particularly, how would you counsel them about handling opposition, maintaining resilience, staying true to their principles, even when faced with criticism and controversy?
I would tell someone that want to get involved, just get involved, just start anywhere. Because, sometimes where you want to start, you can't start. I tell a lot of people, and I've always done this, some people want to run for office. And, it could be 10, 15 years ago. And I'll say, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, I work at such and such a place. Well, tell me what you have done in the community. Well, I haven't done anything. Well, maybe you want to think about joining Kiwanis. Maybe you want to think about joining Rotary. Maybe you might want to think about getting on this particular board or whatever. Start somewhere, participate somewhere. You might want to start at your church. Participate at your church, get people to understand who you are and why you're doing things. I don't think that you have to start at a position. If you want to help your community, I think you just need to start somewhere and take it from that. As far as what you're going to hear from people, no one in my mind that has ever done anything of significance have done it without being criticized. Anyone. So I tell people all of the time, don't worry about someone saying something about you. You have to understand who you are. You have to understand why you make decisions and the decisions that you make, why did you make that decision? And I tell people all the time that I may meet at Walmart or whatever the case is, that have an opinion of this and an opinion of that. I tell them my decision was made with all of the information that was in front of me. So I have to make a decision on what's in front of me, what I'm looking at. And you're going to make your decisions on what you heard someone say. Or if you're fortunate enough to get all of the information, then you make a decision. I'm talking about the people that may be talking. Just don't worry about what people have to say. Know who you are. Be true to yourself. And as long as you're making decisions that you can live with and feel comfortable and go home and go to sleep and have a nice night, I think you're good. Be consistent with what you're doing when you're running a business. Whether you're working for someone or working for yourself or in government, be consistent with what you're doing, because once you start doing things a certain way and people start to follow you, they can almost understand what you're going to do before you do it if you're consistent. But if you're bouncing around for this one and that one, because I know this one, I don't know this one, I know this one, I don't know that one, you could have a pretty hard career in government. You have to be consistent.
When your term as parish president eventually concludes, how would you hope to be remembered, not only by your constituents, but also by your peers, your collaborators, and those who've watched your leadership evolve?
As someone who made decisions with the people that he represented in mind. As far as trying to leave a legacy of this, that, and the other, I'm not after that. Those types of things have a way of working its own self out. My job is to be a parish president that's going to represent the people of the parish. My decisions, when I make decisions, believe me, and that's a lot of decisions you make as a parish president. But you have to have faith in God. You have to know that you in your mind that you're doing the right thing. You may not know this, but I had leukemia 2.5 years ago, and when I had leukemia, it changed a lot. I've always been a faithful person, always had God in my life. But once you end up with something like that, you start to really put everything in perspective. And you've heard me talk about trying to make sure I'm trying to give every one of the 70,000 people in Iberia Parish a fair shake and a quality of life. And I mean it when I say that. I'm not here to represent just the 16 plus thousand people that's living in poverty on the 25,000 a year. I'm here to represent that person that lived between the 25 to 50 and the 50 to 100 and the 100 to a million. I'm trying to represent everyone here. So my legacy is going to be based on whatever it is that the people are going to want that legacy to be based on. But as far as I'm concerned, if I've done the right thing by God, I'm tickled. I can care. It's not that I can care less, but at the end of the day, I made decisions that I thought was the right to do. And that's the only place, it's all I could do.
Your God-given conscience.
That's exactly right.
And finally, a question that we ask all of our podcast guests in the spirit of the name of the podcast, Fueled. What fuels you?
I have several things fuel me. The number one thing, and it's certain things fuel me at different times in my life. It's not that I can say something fuels me right now, and that's what fueled me 10 years ago and 10 years prior. What fuels me right now is, again, my faith that I have in God. That's what fuels me. My family that I have, and I mean all of my family. The people that I represent fuels me. There are many days that you do this job and you ask yourself, I've been doing this for over 2 decades. Why do you do this? But at the end of the day, something will happen and you got an opportunity to help this person that couldn't get medication because they didn't have the resources and they didn't have the money to do this. And you were able to make a phone call, and that person don't have to start splitting their pills in half. They can take what was recommended by the doctor for them to take. Those things fuel me big time. And, sometimes I feel when I'm going to get out of office, I hope I can continue to do those things for people. As far as being elected, I'm really looking forward to not being elected. But I'm also looking forward to continue to help the people that I help. And the beautiful thing about this is I help people not only in Iberia Parish or the state of Louisiana. I've been doing this for quite some time. My previous job before I got elected was in corporate America. I did a lot of work in Washington, D.C. and throughout the United States with them. And I've never lost those relationships. So a lot of things that people need, I don't get it done here in Louisiana. I can call up someone in Texas or Wyoming or someone in Utah and say, I need this. And we can make things happen. So I don't want to lose those relationships. But that's probably what's fueling me now, is just trying to follow God's way, continue to follow his way, and try to help the people. That's where I'm at.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate your time
Thank you.
and your heart
And
and your authenticity.
Thank you. Appreciate that.